The Isle is a very special game, not just to myself, but also to a lot of people. Personally, it was the first title of this genre that I ever tried and almost immediately got hooked to it. I still love the Isle even to this day, but it's not the same anymore. Evrima began with the intent to be a revamp, a superior version of the game that the community has been playing since 2015. In fact, when it was announced, it was simply named Recode, because that's what it was at that time. Their objective was to recode the game from scratch in order to allow the developers to add more complex mechanics more frequently and easier, to improve the game's performance, and to streamline the overall development process to be less complicated and taxing for the team. And we were all very excited about it. Almost no one, not even myself, was interpreting this negatively. Legacy had countless bugs, unfinished mechanics, missing features, half the roster was not available, horrible balanced dinosaurs, a terrible map, bare-bones combat, and the list goes on. We all loved Legacy, we all played it and enjoyed it, but this Recode, this was the opportunity that we were waiting for. The chance for the game to improve and become what both the developers and us, the players, wanted the Isle to be. But that was not what happened. We all know it, and you guys are probably already saying, yeah, Evrima launch was horrible. But no, I'm not talking about that. Yes, the initial iteration of Evrima was abysmal, but I'm talking beyond that. Beyond the two playables, beyond the endless bugs, beyond all the problems and missing content this new branch had in the beginning. Something more changed in this new iteration of the Isle. Something that it's hard to describe, and worse, that it's still there. Because even today, after years of updates, with dozens of new mechanics added, all systems revamped, with an objectively improved combat system, a better engine, better lighting, better weather, better movement, dinosaurs being mechanically unique, having the best map this game ever had, after all of this, something is still different. I don't know what you're thinking, that's just nostalgia, Zag. No, it is not. I purchased the Isle on June 14th, 2018, almost exactly 2 years before Evrima launched and months before Recode got announced. I didn't grow up playing Legacy, I didn't have it for years, I bought it months before they started focusing on Evrima. The vast majority of the 2400 hours I have on this game happened in 2019. This is not nostalgia. It is something subtly and deeply rooted in this new branch that no matter how much better it gets, how much superior to its predecessor it becomes, this sentiment just seems to not go away. From a mechanical standpoint, Evrima is plain and simple better than Legacy. That's just a fact. Nowadays, despite the roster being smaller, the game has more content, more mechanics, and all the systems present work better than Legacy's and possess more thought-demanding elements. It is not perfect, of course, the performance is still bad, it's still very buggy, there are constant hacking issues, lack of content, there is still a long road ahead. But in comparison, Evrima right now is undoubtedly better. But then why? Why does it not feel better? How can it not? There is literally no mechanic in Legacy that it's better than Evrima counterpart. Fracture is a superior bone break, Bleed is less unforgiving, there's no more tail riding, the movement is more elaborate, nesting is a fully fledged system now. I shouldn't be having the same experience, I should be having an improved experience. But not only it does not feel improved, it feels worse. So how is it possible that even with all of this, Legacy's experience still feels better? Unless the problem is not mechanical. There is in fact a reason behind this sensation. Two, to be specific. They are not mechanical, They are not flawed features or systems, but they are design choices made that are indeed worse in Evrima. And they are so impactful to the game and yet so subtle and veiled that once they are changed or gone, people can feel their absence without even being able to acknowledge it easily. But what are those two things exactly? Pacing and socialization. Pacing, the concept of flow or speed of a game's experience. There are multiple components that affect pacing in video game, and its rate can alter the overall experience a game has. Movement, combat, UI interactions, music, depending on how fast or how slow things are, the game's pacing will increase or decrease respectively. Those variations change the way we perceive and essentially feel the game when we are playing it. Elite Sniper is a focused and precise shooter where you carefully plan and execute the assassination of established targets. Your movement is slow, methodical, and so is your positioning. Your actions need to be well thought out and accurate, making the entire game slow and thought demanding, making you feel like a true sniper, or at least close to it. Ultra Kill, on the other hand, is the polar opposite. The movement is flashy, flexible, and fast. You switch weapons at light speed, your gun fires extremely quickly. Everything around you is running, flying, and shooting at neck-breaking pace. Ultra Kill is about quick thinking, reaction speed, and flow of movement. The game wants you to go fast, and it rewards you for it. Changing a game's pacing changes not just how the game looks, how the game feels, it changes how the game functions. Evrima's pacing is not just higher than Legacy's, it is the fastest of the entire dinosaur survival genre. It is so high in fact that I believe that is actually one of the reasons some animations look janky and some mechanics don't work properly, like pouncing. With everything happening so quickly, the game changed its own perception. Evrima's combat is mechanically superior to its predecessor, that much is true, but the new pacing is doing the game a massive disservice, because everything is so fast that hunting is more about dodges and spamming attacks than to actually figuring out a strategy to put your opponent down, like a true hunt. It has more depth, but due to its speed, it still feels shallow, because the game itself doesn't promote that sort of gameplay. But more important than pacing, there's the social component. Socialization is a very common part of most titles that include any kind of multiplayer. Its core purpose, as obvious as it may sound, is to allow players to exchange information between each other. This can come in the form of a text chat, a voice chat, emote system, etc. Their primary goal is to be a tool that establishes communication between players. Depending on the game, those social features will be used differently. In competitive environments, players use any sort of chat exclusively for information, to tell where the enemies are, to deliver intel, to ask questions. Conversations are short, direct, and purely focused on the match. In other games, however, especially more casual ones, social systems are used often to establish and create relationships between players. They also use it the same way as the previous example, but to a much lesser degree. More often than not, people use these chats to simply talk with others, to meet new players, to discuss about things outside of the game, to share experiences. For multiplayer-focused games, these matters immensely, because not only provides players with ways to socially interact with others, it also makes people feel like the game is alive. Just the presence of a global chat in the corner adds to the feeling that you are in a space filled with other people. It fulfills that social need humans have, even if you have no intention in participating. Of course, the presence of those UI elements may disrupt the immersion component of the game, something that the Isle specifically heavily double downs on, the issue is when players lack the freedom of choice. In Legacy, you had multiple forms of communication: global chat, group chat, local chat, calls. Each and every single one of those was tailored with a specific social parameter in mind, and people had the choice to use them or not. And in the case that you really didn't want to see it, you still had the choice to remove it. In Evrima, not only the choice is gone, almost all social features were completely and utterly removed from the branch entirely. Global chat is gone, group chat is gone, and local only allows you to communicate with members of your own species and no one else, even if you are a herbivore. This certainly makes the game more immersive, but no matter how immersive it may be, the Isle is still a game, a multiplayer game, and no matter how incredibly realistic and immersive one might feel, the strict removal of important social features from a game of this nature kills all sense of community and socialization, a component crucial for multiplayer-focused titles. Some people might say that Legacy was nothing more than a glorified chat room with dinosaurs. In Old Isle, players would chat a lot not only because it was an enjoyable experience, but also because the game's pacing and overall gameplay was a lot slower and revolved around social interaction. People that devalue that by calling it chat rooms or chat simulators were not interested in talking with other people to begin with. That component of the Isle didn't interest them. They cared about the action, hunting dinosaurs, killing players. But even without acknowledging it, they were still being benefited for it, because now those same people are the ones complaining about Evrima having nothing to do outside of combat. That should make no sense, since we have already established that the latter is mechanically superior than the former. It has more systems, more activities with more depth and complexity, but they fail to understand that for this genre, mechanics alone are not enough. A survival game thrives and dies from their gameplay quality, yes, but also from their socialization, from how united or divided their communities are, from how much or how little people are able to communicate with others. Evrima lost that. It stripped away that fundamental pillar from its core, and now, no matter how many dinosaurs, how many mechanics, how many systems or features they add, it will always and forever feel more soulless than its predecessor. A huge thank you to my Patreon supporters for supporting the channel and the content I create. If you wanna join the ranks, you can do so for only $1 a month. The link will be in the description. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and opinions down below, join our Discord server, engage with the community, and hope to see you all next time.